exciting. I mean, I think with a movie like this, a lot of the test is going to be if it resonates with people or if they connect to it. And so you can watch it alone in your house, which is the only way I had seen it. And I knew how I felt about it, but I sort of got to experience it vicariously with an audience full of people, and I think it connects to some really human issues, and it felt great to be in there.
Well, let's see. Infinite Jest came out in 96. I started college in 97. I'd read a little bit of his writing before that, and then my freshman year in college is when I tackled Infinite Jest, and it took 3 or 4 months to get through it. But I was hooked, and then read everything I could get my hands on after that. I even had some David Foster Wallace read at my wedding. But as far as making this as a film, it really began with Donald's screenplay. Donald was my playwriting professor in college, and he had already adapted David Lipsky's book, and that's what I read. And I was really moved by it, and I was blown away by how Donald turned it into a really riveting, subtle, emotional film.
Well, it's a curious thing, but sometimes I labor over something for months and years. And this one, I kind of understood what it needed to be pretty early on. So finding the structure for it was the most fun. It in terms of time spent, not that much, really. I had such a treasure trove of material to work from, but it was really up to me to sort of carve a narrative out of that.
Yes, it is the story of a journalist and a subject, but I think there's also a more universal story, right? About meeting someone who you've contemplated, who you've admired, who maybe you've envied from afar. In this case, it's a journalist who happens to be a writer meeting another writer, but there's that could go for anybody meeting any artist. That could be for meeting someone who's estranged from your life and really building them up in your imagination and not realizing how their own humanity complicates the dynamic.
Yeah, I was really lucky to have 3 really good friends who had read Infinite Jest read it again with me. And we would read 100 pages a week on our own and then get together and talk about it every Sunday. And it was really great. And what emerged for me in that process was it felt like a man with an extraordinary brain trying to communicate this idea that we all feel the same way. And there is sort of a nagging sense that maybe we're not enough or that something is wrong. And what is it going to be that gives you relief from that feeling? So I thought a lot about that, and I had Donald's script and David Lipsky's book, and I had access to the recordings. And I really just sat and read, and I thought a lot. I just thought, I was at a very particular point in my life, too, where I was on a TV show that was coming to an end after a decade, and I had done a lot of really interesting work, but my 20s had sort of come to an end, and I was left at a period where I think David Foster Wallace was when Infinite Jest came out, where you're asking the question, well, what's next? And I've accomplished X or Y or Z, but I still have this feeling, and so what do I do now?
I mean, it starts with casting. I mean, there's that cliche that 80% of directing actors for film is casting the right people, and I happen to believe in that. If you've cast the wrong person, you're going to pay for it later. But once you've found the right person, I just try to treat them as an artistic collaborator, and I respect their imagination, and I try to create a foundation of trust and promise them, the actors, that they can do anything they want in front of the camera. We'll always shoot it as long as they do anything that I ask. And then at that point, it's just about trusting each other and having fun.